Alright guys, just want to put another one off my list, which is don't wait for a pension. Now I know a lot of people actually turn around and say, well, you know, I work hard for my pension, gonna wait to retirement and do this, blah blah blah. I have to say, even with my own father, he retired and 4 years later died. I can't see the point of being in a pension pot that has no guarantee of you receiving what you paid into it in the first place. You're better off managing the funds yourself if you can. This is why I'm more in line with buying property and renting them out, trading money through things like the crypto trading, trade my money up that way, but try and get into a point where you control your finances, because if they're only giving you X amount per year anyway, you'll find that you can manage the funds often better by yourself. It doesn't mean that you're sitting there going, right, I'm going to do stock trading or whatever. It could be a case of that you get your pot to a certain size and you get a financial advisor from the bank that actually advises you with some good investments, and they will do it. I mean, once you get to a certain point, they will do it. It's a bit like when I was with Carillion, when I was coming back from the Middle East. One of my friends, his son was living in his UK house, and he was coming back. He'd been in Dubai for 5 years. So his son had basically got very comfortable in his house, and he didn't want to move out of the house. At the same time, he was quite happy to continue paying rent, etc., to his dad. So the amount of money, because they do this retention thing in the Middle East, they'll hold a percentage of your salary back until you eventually leave after 5 years. Long story short, he went into the bank and said, you know, he's going to have to buy a house because his son ain't going to move out the other one. Could he sort a mortgage, sort of paying the house back in a lump sum sort of thing, because he'd seen the house he wanted. And they simply said, don't do that. What you should actually be doing is taking your money and actually we'll invest it for you. The profit you will actually get off what you would have paid onto the house will actually give you the money for the mortgage and a bit extra every month, and just pay it off that way. So he'd end up with the house paid for and his money and a percentage every month. So that's what he did, and that's the point. There's a lot of people out there that are a lot smarter with money than we are. I know when I worked at RBS Bank, there's banks within banks. There's some certain banks you need $500,000 just to be a client, and they're actually part of the bank. They have these other banks within it for clients of a certain size. So the point being is, there is a lot more out there than a lot of people realise that you may already have access to, especially if you've got a cash pot already built up. But the other side of this being is sustainable incomes that you can build up over a period of time is worth doing, because you could use it as a pension pot. You could also use it for building a pension pot, because say for example you're doing something specific, it may only last 2-3 years, but once it's set up it's fully automated, but the cash you generate within it, you decide to, you know what, I'm not going to spend it, I'll reinvest it. And that's what I try to do. I try not to spend my own money. I try and generate extra income to get me where I want to be. And I do find that works quite well. Some of it doesn't make mega money. I've got to admit, sometimes certain niches in YouTube you can put a lot of effort into, and you might get $40 a month off it. But the thing is, once it's done, it's $40 a month. You know, you're not doing 1, 2, 3 videos a week or a day. Some of the videos you don't even have to do 2 videos every 6 months, simply because once all the content's there, as long as it stays relevant in a niche that has a market where there's advertising, it will continue to generate a revenue. Which also gets onto the point, try not to get involved in things that aren't worth the time and effort. This is where, if politics, for example, if you get into some of the stuff in politics and trying to make a revenue through it, it's near impossible. You're not going to find it very easy, and even the stuff around the MGTOW stuff, YouTube doesn't like it, and it doesn't matter what the content's about. You will find a lot of people struggle to get any channels generating any revenue. You're actually better off on videos on well-being, electronics, travel, cookery, and many other things. You know, there's very specific niches as well that can do quite well. Shipping container housing, modular homes, downsizing, all sorts of little niches that may not be saturated. See, the Philippines genre is saturated. Where I'm in La Mata is not saturated. Hardly anybody does any videos here. No, it doesn't generate a massive amount of income, but at the same time, the network has been of value to do that, which generates some income for my wife, for example, who does people's NIEs, get kids into school and all that sort of stuff from the paperwork side. But the point is, if you're generating these extra bits of income, they only help support you. And at the end of the day, you're trying to get in a position where you need to do your 9 to 5 less, or completely stop it and get into a lifestyle you want to be doing. And that's the point. That's what you should be aiming for. So when people are looking at waiting for their retirement and stuff, personally, I don't recommend doing it myself. What I do recommend is actually working your way towards it now, so you can finish early. You know, for example, you want a house by the beach, look at, is it viable to buy one, rent it out, and leave it rented out until you're ready to move into it, get somebody else paying the mortgage off, and then just put a budget aside for a complete renovation for when you do move in it. Because, to be honest, if someone else is living in there and it's livable already, who cares if it's 80s style or whatever? Unless it's actually going to be adding more rental value, there's no point pumping cash into these things. But that's what I'm saying. Look at the bigger picture. That's why you'll see some people jump ahead in life, and it's because they see these opportunities. Yet most of them are open to anybody. You just got to look at them, find them, look what other people have done. You know, you'll find other people that have done quite well in life. Ask them how they got started and stuff. Because sometimes it's opportunity. Sometimes they've just seen something nobody else has seen. Or something's dropped into their lap. But for the majority of people, it does involve looking at changing the way you currently do everything. And seeing other opportunities. It's like some of the guys I'm associated with, although they do similar work to myself, 9 to 5, they also do external contracting on the side as well. But they're only expecting to do this for another 5-10 years, and they'll be out of it completely, because that money is paying for their house renovations, paying the mortgage off, and preparing them to actually finish up in a position where they simply go, I'm retiring early, and walking away from it all, or dropping down to part-time hours. The point being is, you've got the opportunity, you can make it happen, and it starts today. The longer you leave it, or you leave it up to the state to do it for you or whatever, do you know what? The thing what bugged the state the most, or the companies that do these pensions, is all the money they take on fees, because they're on a win-win. They perform badly, they still take the fees. They perform good, they still take the fees. You do it yourself, you're responsible yourself, but in many cases you'll find that you can do it much better than they can. Thanks for watching.